Imagine, a peaceful morning, birds are chirping,
Yeah.
sun's coming up, you're driving to work like any other day, but then as you turn onto Clover Street,
Right.
there's something on the sidewalk,
Right.
and it just shatters the peace.
Wow.
It's the body of a young man, and his name is Timothy Blair.
So right away, this scene, it just brings up so many questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Timothy was only 19 years old.
Yeah.
He's fully clothed, but he's dressed in, what we might consider traditionally feminine attire.
That's right.
He's been shot multiple times.
Multiple times.
But there's no shell casings.
Right. How is that possible?
And maybe the most puzzling thing of all is his cell phone's missing.
His cell phone, yeah.
A teenager without a cell phone, it's almost unheard of.
Almost unheard of.
So it's like someone, scattered the pieces of this puzzle on purpose.
Yeah, it feels very intentional.
To make it harder to see the full picture.
Right.
But that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try to put those pieces together.
We love a good puzzle.
We do.
So let's start with what we know about Timothy.
Okay.
And the hours leading up to his death.
So from the source material, we know that Timothy was, he was a beloved son.
Yeah.
He was a brother.
A brother.
A friend,
Yeah.
known for his infectious laugh, loved music.
I love that.
And his sense of style, which, as we've heard,
Right.
sometimes challenged, people consider normal.
Yeah, challenge conventional norms.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I think because of that challenging of the norms,
Mm-hmm.
the question of motive is even more important.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
God.
Because, we have this source material that mentions that investigators are looking at the possibility of a hate crime.
Yeah, that's a real possibility here.
Yeah.
We know that Timothy was out with a friend, Dee, the night that he was murdered. She told police that they were harassed by this group of men.
Okay.
And these men made, nasty comments about Timothy's appearance.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Whether this harassment was directly tied to the murder, we just don't know.
Right.
But it adds, a chilling layer to this investigation.
It makes it that much more, I don't know, disturbing in a way.
Absolutely.
Just to think that someone could be targeted.
Yeah.
Simply for expressing themselves.
Right, just for being themselves.
Being themselves, yeah.
That's awful.
So let's retrace their steps.
Okay.
Where were Timothy and Dee that night?
All right, so according to Dee's statement to police, she and Timothy were in downtown Louisville that evening, enjoying the nightlife.
Okay.
And she described what he was wearing, even down to those pink flip-flops that they found.
Yeah, that detail stuck with me too.
Yeah, near his body at the crime scene.
It's those flip-flops and the lack of shell casings that really make me think there may have been a chase or a struggle.
I think that's a solid theory.
Right.
It's like, almost like he tried to run from his attacker, but tragically, he couldn't get away.
Yeah.
But here's where the timeline gets kind of, murky. Yeah. Dee says she last saw Timothy around 3 a.m. Just a few blocks from where his body was found later.
Yeah.
But his estimated time of death was somewhere between 4 and 4:30 a.m.
So we've got this missing hour, which, is a massive gap in the investigation.
Huge gap, yeah.
It's like a missing chapter in a book, and we're just left wondering what happened during that time.
Yeah, we don't know. And it all depends on, piecing together these witness accounts.
Which can be so unreliable.
They can be. And in addition to Dee, investigators talked to Timothy's sister, Keisha, and his mother, Rosalind.
And each of them, of course, they add their own layer to the story.
They do.
Keisha mentioned that her car, which Timothy sometimes borrowed, had been moved from where she'd parked it.
Yeah. And
so was this just a random thing, or is it connected to the murder?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So investigators, they didn't find any evidence that linked the car to the crime scene. But it's a detail that just kind of makes you wonder.
It does.
Right? Like, what if someone was trying to, cover up what they did?
Yeah, cover their tracks.
Or what if there's just a connection we haven't even thought of yet?
Yeah, it's like we keep pulling on a thread.
Yeah.
And the web just keeps getting more tangled.
More tangled.
But then, 1 year later, the investigation takes another unexpected turn.
Right.
Timothy's own mother, Rosalind, accuses her daughter, Keisha, of being involved in his death.
This accusation, it all stems from a story that Rosalind's 7-year-old granddaughter, Anna, tells.
Okay.
Now, before we get into all the, the ins and outs of child testimony, it's important to remember that Anna later recanted her story, saying she had lied to protect her mother.
Wow.
So now we have this question.
Yeah.
Was Anna's first story completely made up?
Yeah? Or was there some truth in there somewhere?
Or was there a grain of truth? Was it distorted by time or fear or just, a child's misunderstanding? It's a question that's going to come up again and again in this case.
It's haunting.
It is.
And I think it just highlights how hard it is to rely on these eyewitness accounts.
Right.
Especially when they come from a child.
Especially from a kid.
Because kids can be so easily influenced.
Yeah. Suggestion, manipulation, it's all a factor.
It really is.
But let's not just dismiss what Anna said altogether.
Right.
I mean, she claims to have heard gunshots.
Gunshots, yeah.
Seen Timothy's body in the house.
Yeah.
Witnessed Keisha and this guy named Jerome, getting rid of the body.
Wow.
It's a chilling account, even if we, keep in mind it might not be totally reliable.
Yeah, it's still a chilling account.
And to make things even more complicated, the house where all this supposedly happened, it got demolished.
Wow.
So investigators, they couldn't even go back and check if her story matched up with the physical space.
They had nothing to corroborate.
They had nothing.
Yeah.
So we're stuck with this story that we can't totally prove or disprove.
Just another piece of the puzzle that's missing.
Exactly.
But there is one piece of evidence that offers us some hope.
Okay.
And that's the DNA evidence.
The DNA.
Found at the crime scene.
Right. It would be years before that DNA would give us a match.
Years.
But when it did, it would only make this mystery even deeper.
Oh boy. This is getting good.
It is.
Stay tuned, folks, because we are just getting started.
We are. So it's 2012, 7 years after Timothy's murder, and the case has gone cold.
7 years.
No new leads.
Wow.
It's like the trail just went ice cold.
Yeah.
But then,
okay,
out of the blue, the forensic lab, they get a DNA match.
Oh, wow, a DNA match.
Yeah, after all this time.
That must have been huge for the investigators and for Timothy's family, of course.
Oh, absolutely. It felt like, finally we're going to get some answers.
Some breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this DNA match.
So the DNA, they collected it back in 2005 at the crime scene. And finally, it matches a profile in the system.
Okay.
And the match is a man who had been in prison.
Okay.
You would think.
Yeah.
This is it. We got him.
Yeah. Case closed.
Right.
So what happened? They brought him in. Did he know Timothy?
Well, this is where it gets weird.
Okay.
The man, when they show him a photo of Timothy,
Yeah.
he says he doesn't know him.
Okay.
But then he sees the picture and he has this,
Yeah.
this reaction like he recognizes him. But he still says, I don't know him.
Wow, that is weird.
It's bizarre.
That's really strange.
Some more questions than answers, right?
Yeah, it definitely suggests some sort of connection.
Right.
Whether it's, he recognizes him or he's afraid of him or maybe even he feels guilty about something.
It's possible.
Yeah. So did investigators look into his background?
Oh, yeah, they dug deep.
Okay.
And guess what they find out?
Right.
He says he knows a woman named Rosalind.
Rosalind.
From the same housing complex where Timothy's mom lived.
Okay, wait. Timothy's mom is also named Rosalind.
Right.
Right.
So could it be the same woman?
That's what I'm thinking.
It's a big question.
If it is the same Rosalind, then what does that mean about the connection between this guy and Timothy?
Right. So investigators start looking into this idea of DNA transfer.
DNA transfer, okay.
The idea that, DNA can end up on something or on someone
Yeah.
without direct contact.
So like indirectly.
Indirectly, like sharing a laundry basket or, brushing past someone in a crowd.
Okay, so maybe his DNA got there by accident.
It's possible, but if he and Rosalind didn't know each other,
Yeah.
then it doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't fit.
It's like a puzzle piece that just doesn't fit anywhere.
So what happens to the investigation? I mean, the DNA was a lead, but now it seems like a dead end.
It's a classic example of how, forensic evidence can be powerful,
Yeah.
but it doesn't always give you a clear answer. Sometimes it just brings up more questions.
Yeah. And it's really tough for Timothy's family and friends because they're still waiting for answers.
Oh, absolutely. It's agonizing.
Yeah.
They just want to know what happened.
And this is where I think we see how strong Timothy's mom, Rosalind, is.
Right. She's amazing.
Despite all the unanswered questions and the dead ends, she never gives up.
Never.
So what has she done to keep Timothy's case alive? What's she been doing all this time?
I mean, Rosalind has been a true advocate for her son.
Yeah.
She brings new information to the police.
Okay.
She organizes rallies and vigils
Wow.
to keep Timothy's memory out there.
That's amazing.
She's even connected with other families
Really?
of unsolved murders looking for anything, any connection.
Wow, that's really powerful.
It's incredible, and it's heartbreaking.
It is.
to see that level of dedication.
Yeah, she just keeps fighting, even when it seems like everyone else has moved on.
Right.
It says a lot about her love for Timothy.
It really does. And, people have noticed what she's doing.
Yeah, I bet.
She's brought attention to all the cold cases in Louisville.
That's a big deal.
The backlog is huge, and it's not just Louisville, it's everywhere.
And that makes me wonder,
Yeah.
why do some cases get more attention than others? Why would Timothy's case be considered less solvable?
It's complicated, but it often comes down to, how much evidence there is.
Okay.
Are there witnesses?
Mm-hmm.
And how likely is it that they'll get a conviction?
So cases like Timothy's, with all the conflicting stories and the recanted testimony.
Yeah, and that DNA match that went nowhere.
Yeah, they're seen as less likely to result in a conviction.
Unfortunately, yes.
It just seems so unfair to the families who are just looking for answers.
It is, but Rosalind, her story, it goes beyond just the justice system.
It does.
She's become a voice for those who don't have one.
That's beautiful.
She's a symbol of hope for other families going through this same thing.
And she believes there's more to uncover in Timothy's case.
She does.
She even thinks there might be connections to other unsolved murders.
Right. Which, if that's true,
Yeah.
could change everything.
Could change everything, yeah.
And it reminds us of something we haven't really talked about.
Okay.
The potential hate crime motive.
Right. Dee's statement about the harassment.
Yeah, and remember, Timothy was found dressed in a way that challenged gender norms.
That can't be ignored.
Absolutely not.
It makes you think.
It does.
Could this have been a hate-motivated crime?
So, while investigators haven't officially called it a hate crime,
Yeah.
they do acknowledge that the way Timothy expressed himself could have been a factor.
That's really sad.
It is.
It's a reminder that intolerance can lead to horrible things.
Yeah,
And Rosalind, her determination to find out the truth, it becomes even more important.
it does.
Because she thinks that solving Timothy's case might not only bring justice for him,
Mm-hmm.
but it might prevent something like this from happening again.
It's a powerful message.
It is. It's about acceptance,
Mm.
empathy, and protecting people who are vulnerable.
It really is.
And it brings us back to the question we started with. Who killed Timothy Blair? We've talked about the evidence, the different stories people told, and, how memory can be tricky. But what I keep thinking about is time and how much time has passed.
Time. Yeah, it's a funny thing.
Yeah,
It can make memories fuzzy,
right,
but it can also change how people see things.
right,
Maybe
exactly.
someone who was scared to talk before,
Mhm.
or even, someone who was involved.
Yeah.
They might feel differently now after 18 years.
It's a long time.
It is. Maybe they feel guilty or they just want to get it off their chest.
Yeah, clear their conscience.
Exactly. And you never know.
Right.
A little piece of information, something small, could be all it takes
Yeah, to break the case open.
to solve the puzzle.
And, thinking back to those different stories,
Yeah.
Dee's statement really sticks with me.
Mm-hmm.
She was the last one to see Timothy alive. And even if she doesn't remember everything perfectly,
Yeah.
what if something, like a sound or a smell or even a song triggers a memory?
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Memories aren't always perfect.
No, they're messy.
Yeah, they're jumbled up.
And then there's the DNA.
Right.
Even though that match didn't lead to an arrest,
Hmm.
it's still a connection to Timothy.
It is. And maybe there's more to that man's story.
Right. What if he's hiding something?
Well, what if there's something he doesn't even realize?
Yeah, about Rosalind.
It's possible.
So we have to look at the why,
The why, exactly.
not just the what.
Why did he react that way to the picture?
Yeah.
Why did he say he knew a woman named Rosalind?
It's those whys that can lead us to the truth.
Because that's where the secrets are.
Yeah, the hidden
Oh,
motives.
the relationships.
It all comes back to people,
It always does.
their choices, their connection.
And their secrets.
So where does that leave us with Timothy's case?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that it's not over.
It's not overnight.
Rosalind, she shows us what hope looks like.
Yeah.
And she believes that justice can still be served.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe someone out there listening, they know something.
Yeah.
Maybe they were afraid to talk before,
You're right.
but now they're ready.
It happened.
And that one piece of information could be everything.
It could be.
We've talked about the evidence, the stories, how our memories can play tricks on us.
Yeah.
But we're still left with that question.
The big question.
Who killed Timothy Blair?
We may not have the answer right now,
Right.
But we have to keep Timothy's story alive.
Yeah, we can't forget him.
We have to honor his memory, and we can't give up on finding justice.
And it's not just up to the police.
No, it's up to all of us.
We can share information.
We can talk about it.
We can support organizations that are trying to solve these cold cases.
Exactly, because even if we don't have all the answers today, just by having this conversation,
we're doing something important.
Keeping Timothy's memory alive.
Exactly.
And reminding everyone that the search for truth never really ends.
It doesn't.
So, if you're listening,
Yeah,
and you have any information about this case,
anything at all,
please contact the Louisville Metro Police Department.
you can find their information in the show notes.
And be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive
for more deep dives into these fascinating cases.
That's right. We'll see you next time.
See you then.